You might think that if you stay out of contact with a narcissist long enough, they'll simply forget you, that you'll fade into the background like a meaningless ex. But if you believe that, I've got news for you. You're severely underestimating their ego. To a narcissist, your silence isn't just a void. It's a threat. A space they can't control, can't manipulate, and can't predict. And that drives them mad. You're no longer texting back. You're no longer reacting. You're no longer stepping into their emotional traps. To them, you're no longer their source of supply, and that loss isn't just painful, it's an identity collapse. When you stay no contact long enough, you're not just walking away from a relationship, you're burning down the stage they built to control you. And don't be fooled by their calm facade. Behind that fake smile and those "look at how happy I am" posts is a silent crisis unraveling in real time. In this video, you're going to uncover 7 real psychological reactions narcissists go through when their victim disappears. Not what they show the world, but what they feel behind closed doors, from quiet rage and identity chaos to obsessive desperation. Stay with me till the end, because if you're holding the line on no contact, this is your map for what's truly happening behind the silence. And if you're on a journey of healing, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's walk it together. 1. Reaction 1. The confidence silence mask. When you go no contact, completely cutting off communication with a narcissist, you're not just walking away from a relationship, you're doing the one thing they fear the most. You disappear. No messages, no responses, no access. You stop existing in the only way that matters to them, as a source of emotional fuel. And the first thing they do in return? They don't beg. They don't panic. They put on the very first mask in their playbook, the mask of confident silence. This is the phase where the narcissist pretends like you never mattered. They act calm. In fact, they act thriving. Suddenly their social media explodes with beach photos, motivational quotes, gym check-ins, and vague captions like, "Whoever leaves wasn't meant to stay." Every post, every image, every word is a silent missile aimed at your sense of doubt, designed to make you question your worth, your choice, and your perception of them. But make no mistake, this isn't healing. It's manipulation in disguise. That mask isn't for their own peace. It's built for you to see, or at the very least hear about. It's meant to reach you through mutual friends, or lure you into checking their stories. They want you to wonder, are they really okay without me? The answer is, absolutely not. A narcissist cannot stand the feeling of being left behind. Their inflated ego doesn't know how to survive without constant emotional feedback. When you stop reacting, they don't feel freedom, they feel powerless. So they construct a fantasy version of themselves, one that appears radiant, fulfilled, and unstoppable, all to send you a message: you just lost the best thing in your life. What they'll never admit is that behind every glamorous post lies a dozen refreshes checking to see if you watched. Behind every so-called healing quote is a desperate hope that you're paying attention, and behind every smile in a selfie is a creeping panic. What if they really don't care anymore? This confidence silence mask is dangerous because it preys on your most vulnerable memory, the times when they once seemed soft, kind, even loving. You might catch yourself thinking, maybe they've really changed, maybe they're finally okay. But that's exactly what they want. They don't need you to come back, not right away. They just need you to waver, to second guess, to send one message, because one message is all it takes to put you right back in their game. And that's why your best defense is absolute indifference. Don't check, don't stalk, don't send energy their way. Your silence is not weakness, it's your weapon. Because the longer you ignore the mask, the heavier it becomes for them to carry. The more they perform, the more exhausted they get, and eventually the mask cracks under its own weight. The truth is, this confident facade is just the beginning of their unraveling. It's like a coat of glossy paint over a wall that's already crumbling. Beneath the show, there's anxiety, there's rage, There's desperation brewing in silence. And you, by refusing to participate, by staying still and firm, are forcing them to confront what they cannot handle. A life where they no longer have access to control you. In the end, this mask of "I'm doing great" is not proof that they've healed. It's proof that they're losing control. Because if they were truly over you, they wouldn't need to prove it. They wouldn't need an audience. Real healing is quiet. It doesn't demand to be seen, but a narcissist lives for the stage. And when you walk out of the theater, their spotlight means nothing. You've taken away their script, their role, and their meaning, and that, to them, is unbearable. So let them perform, let them pose, pretend, because behind every illusion of confidence lies a crumbling ego, one that is starving without your attention. You don't have to fight. You don't have to explain. You win by doing nothing. Because, in the silence, they're the ones who start to fall apart. 2. Reaction to silent obsession. After the "I'm fine" mask begins to crack due to your total silence, the narcissist quietly shifts into their second reaction, silent obsession. They're done with staged brunch photos and exaggerated positivity. Too many happy posts with no reaction from you only leave them exhausted. So now they turn inward. No more public performances, no more noise. Just the quiet, obsessive watching of your life. You may not see them, but their fingerprints are everywhere. They're viewing your stories through fake accounts, checking your LinkedIn at 3 a.m., even borrowing mutual devices just to sneak a glance at your updates. They casually ask mutual friends how you've been, pretending it's casual curiosity. But every tiny detail they collect, a nature photo, a lyric you posted, a location you tagged, gets pieced together like a surveillance map. For them, this isn't curiosity. It's control through data. When you've been silent too long and they can no longer feed off your emotional reactions, they resort to something else, fantasy supply. Imagined validation. Just the thought that you might still be checking their page or missing them in secret gives them temporary highs. But this fantasy is like junk food. It doesn't satisfy. It leaves them hungrier. That's why they become more and more desperate in their digital stalking, hoping for even a glimpse of your attention. This is when they start testing the waters, liking an old photo, reacting to a story from 3 months ago, leaving a subtle comment on a mutual friend's post, or sending you a random file by accident. These aren't real attempts to reconnect. They're calculated moves to check if you'll respond. Because one reply, even a short one, means the game is back on. Some narcissists even log into old streaming accounts you once shared just to check what you're watching, and then mysteriously quote lines from that show on their page, hoping you'll notice. It's bizarre, but it's all about controlling the narrative again without actually speaking to you. The obsession grows more intense with every day you stay silent, and while outsiders might assume they've moved on, that's just part of the illusion. In reality, they're building an invisible surveillance room around your life. Each time your phone flashes from a private viewer on your story, it could be them. Every follower that vanishes after one look, possibly another mask. What makes this dangerous is its invisibility. No one else sees the obsession. There are no dramatic texts or pleading voicemails. From the outside, the narcissist looks calm, but internally, they're spiraling. And the moment they find even the faintest hint, a lonely post, a sad lyric, a vague caption that they think is about them, they pounce. Suddenly messages like "I miss you" or "Are you happy now" show up out of nowhere. So, how do you survive this phase of silent obsession? First, don't confuse their silence with peace. Second, shut the digital doors. Block secondary accounts. Limit public content and disable ways they can monitor your life. Third, train yourself not to react. Even one profile view or one click on their name can give them hope. And most importantly, remind yourself, the less they know, the safer you are. Every piece of information you reveal, even accidentally, can be turned into ammunition. You might wonder, am I being paranoid for assuming every fake account could be them? No, you're just protecting your mental borders. When your enemy thrives on infiltration, building extra firewalls is not paranoia, it's self-respect. Always remember, the narcissist isn't obsessed because they love you, they're obsessed because they can't stand that you've escaped their narrative. Don't hand the pen back to them, not even with a single emoji. Your silence is not just an act, it's the final chapter. As long as you hold it, the next mask will crack, long before it ever reaches you. 3. Reaction. 3. The Hoover trap. When the narcissist pretends to have changed just to pull you back in. When silent obsession fails to produce any response, and all attempts at distant monitoring fall flat, the narcissist enters their next phase, hoovering, one of the most manipulative and deceptive strategies in their emotional arsenal. The term Hoover, like the vacuum, is fitting, because that's exactly what they're trying to do, suck you back into their orbit by any means necessary, whether through charm, guilt, or victimhood. It starts subtly, a birthday message after months of silence, a casual comment on an old photo, or a mistakenly sent email. But don't be fooled by the surface-level politeness. Behind these gestures lies a carefully constructed system, step by step, designed to reactivate your emotions. You might receive a message like, "I just remembered that afternoon. Don't know why, but it hit me hard today. I've been seeing a therapist. I finally understand where I went wrong." These words are crafted to pierce the deepest parts of your compassion, the part of you that once believed they could change, the part that held on to hope that if you loved hard enough, they'd become better. And if you respond, even with an emoji or a hesitant, the game is back on. During the hoovering stage, the narcissist often transforms into the best version of what you always wanted, more gentle, more understanding, and above all, seemingly remorseful. But make no mistake, this remorse does not come from inner transformation. It's a performance, choreographed for one goal only, to regain the control they lost when you went no contact. When this gentle mask doesn't work, they pivot quickly into another role, the victim. "You don't know how lost I've been since you disappeared. I've been in such a dark place without anyone to talk to." Don't be surprised if they bring up health issues, depression, or family crises. Narcissists are masters at using pain as emotional leverage, especially against someone who once genuinely loved them. They know you were once empathetic, forgiving, always reaching out, and that's the weakness they want to exploit. But when none of the softness succeeds, the mask falls. The remorse turns into rage, the messages shift. "Wow, so this is who you really are? I know you're reading these, you're just pretending not to care. I can't believe how cold you've become." The switch from "I've changed" to "you're heartless" is almost instant, and it all happens in the space your silence has created. Because that silence to them is unbearable. The Hoover trap can last for weeks, months, sometimes years, especially when they can't find a new source of supply that matches what you gave them. That's when they come crawling back to the person they once called too emotional. And because your relationship held memories, vulnerability, unfinished dreams, they know exactly what strings to pull. The wound you never fully healed from, the promise they broke but you still remember, the someday that never happened. But remember this. This time it's not about love, it's about emotional reconquest. You don't owe them a reply. You're not required to explain your silence. And you certainly don't have to prove you're not cruel. Treat every hoovering attempt like a wave. It will crash against the shore of your boundaries, but it only erodes you if you allow cracks to form. Stand firm. Shut every door they might slither back through. Remind yourself that every time you reply out of guilt, you are draining your own strength to fuel an old, toxic cycle. So when the narcissist's emotional vacuum roars to life, stay still. You are not dust. You are the foundation they cannot reset. And when you hold your silence long enough, that machine, it shuts down. Not because it ran out of power, but because there's nothing left to suck in. 4. Reaction 4. The smear campaign. When they can't win you back, so they try to destroy you instead. When all their hoovering attempts fail, when even a single ellipsis from you doesn't come, when your silence is no longer temporary but becomes an undeniable reality. The narcissist shifts from covert emotional manipulation to overt destruction, because if they can't control you through affection, they'll try to control how others see you. This is where the smear campaign begins. They start telling stories about you, carefully crafted tales where they are the wounded one, abandoned, betrayed. They blend tiny pieces of truth with carefully constructed lies, shaping a narrative that sounds just plausible enough to be believed. They don't need everyone to believe them, just the people close enough to you to start planting seeds of doubt in your surroundings. It may start as whispers behind your back at work, a cryptic post on social media, or those fake concern questions. I'm not trying to talk bad about her, but she's changed so much lately. I just hope she's okay. She hasn't seemed stable since the breakup. But make no mistake, these aren't emotional outbursts. They're tactics. If they can't be the main character in your story anymore, they'll rewrite the script so that you become the villain. And the most dangerous part? People might believe them, because narcissists often excel at maintaining a polished public image. Kind, generous, successful, even spiritual. They've been planting these seeds for a while. Maybe even during the relationship, they hinted to others that you were difficult, emotional, or unstandable. So when you finally left, all they had to do was light the match. A smear campaign isn't just about destroying your reputation, it's about isolating you. While you're trying to heal, they want you to feel alone. While you maintain silence, they fill your social space with confusion. They know that if you lose support, if you begin to doubt yourself because of whispers around you, then the walls you built to protect yourself will start to crack from within. And that's what they want. One single fracture, to re-enter. So what do? You don't fight fire with fire. You don't publish long statuses explaining yourself. You don't counterattack with every secret you know, because truth doesn't need to scream to survive. Instead, you stay silent, but intentionally. Live clearly, live kindly, stay grounded. The only person who needs to know who you are is you. And do you know what enrages a narcissist most? It's not when you fight back. It's not even when you expose them. It's when they throw every piece of dirt they can, and you still rise. When their lies bounce off a life lived in integrity. When your name isn't built on their version of the story, but on the way you consistently show up. When you need no revenge, no defense, and yet you move forward. That's when they realize you didn't just walk away. You escaped, and you're never coming back. 5. Reaction 5. Internal collapse. When nothing works, and they begin to crumble from within. When every tactic has failed, from silent stalking, subtle hoovering, to an all-out smear campaign, the narcissist enters the stage they fear the most. Total loss of control. No response, no allies, no replacement source strong enough to fill the void. And for the first time, they're forced to face the one thing they've always avoided, the truth about themselves. A narcissist's internal collapse doesn't look like normal heartbreak. It's not the sadness of losing a lover. It's the crumbling of their ego, the deep emptiness that follows when all their manipulation strategies stop working, because without someone to control, they no longer have someone to define them. You see, a narcissist's inner life is built on reflection. They don't truly know who they are, so they rely on other people's reactions to feel real. As long as you were there, hurting, explaining, trying to please, they felt anchored. But when you disappear without leaving behind a mirror for them to reflect off of, they become directionless. It's not the loss of you that breaks them. It's the loss of power over you. It's not because you were important. It's because the feeling of helplessness attacks their identity. They may start acting erratically. Sleepless nights, mood swings, rushing into new relationships to fill the void. But nothing works. No one can provide the dose of control you used to give, even unknowingly. This is when they might fall into what's known as narcissistic collapse. Their mask begins to crack, and this time they don't have the strength to put it back on. They may appear disoriented, panicked, even depressed. But don't be fooled. This isn't genuine remorse. This is a crisis over losing the stage, the script, and the audience. The painful truth is, you were that stage. You were where they performed, the perfect partner, the victim, the betrayed. But now, you're no longer in the theater. No more tickets, no applause, no tears, no reaction. And that absence of reaction, that silence, is the final blow to their illusion of power. However, don't think they'll surrender easily. Some narcissists will desperately attempt to resurrect control, even through extreme measures like feigning illness, self-harm, threats, or suddenly becoming weirdly kind and reformed. Don't fall for it, because now your silence isn't a tactic anymore. It's proof of your emotional growth and recovery. They may fall apart, but it's not your job to put them back together. You are no longer the healer for wounds they never truly wanted to heal. They may be drowning, but you are not required to jump in after the one who once pushed you under. Keep walking without looking back, because their collapse is not your ending. It is the clearest sign that you got your life back. 6. Reaction 6. The search for a replacement, but no one can replace you. When you've truly disappeared, when there's no opening left for them to manipulate, and when every scheme to regain control has crumbled, the narcissist enters their next phase, desperately searching for another version of you. But what they don't realize is this: no one can replace you, especially after your awakening has deeply wounded their false sense of power. At first, they seem energetic. They quickly jump into new relationships, flaunt shiny new connections, post cheerful photos, and display artificial happiness on social media. For them, replacing you isn't about love, it's about proving they never needed you. They want you to see, they want you to feel jealous, they want to shake your silence, they want you back, or at least hurting. But deep down they know the truth. Everyone new is just a dull echo of the original, you. They slowly realize what they're really chasing isn't just a person, it's the emotional reaction that only you could provide. Your hurt, your forgiveness, your unconscious loyalty, all of it was the emotional fuel they fed on. Sure, the new person might be more attractive, more cheerful, more obedient, but they don't give the narcissist that same godlike feeling you once unknowingly did, and that's when the narcissist begins to lose patience. The new relationship becomes boring or even chaotic, because narcissists don't seek love, they seek control. And when they can't control the way they used to, they become disappointed with their new supply. Some narcissists will continue to hop from person to person trying to fill the void. But no one touches them the way you once did. No one makes them feel superior the way you used to. No one, because you once reflected their false grandiosity better than anyone else. This is the stage when many narcissists start turning inward, not to heal, but to resent. They don't understand why no one gets them like you, why no one is deep like you, why no one makes them feel powerful like you did. And the fear they tried so hard to deny starts taking shape. Maybe, just maybe, you really were different. But instead of facing that truth, they blame you. They hate you for making them feel like they had everything and then taking it all away through silence. They might try to come back, or they might try to replace you forever by devaluing you, by tearing down your worth in their own mind just to survive the loss. But none of it erases the imprint you left behind. No one can replace someone who woke up. No one can replace the trauma of truly losing control, and the narcissist knows that. 7. Reaction 7. Your silence becomes their worst nightmare. For most of us, silence is a choice for peace. But for a narcissist, silence is a form of psychological torment, because it's something they can't manipulate, can't control, and, most terrifying of all, can't predict. When you choose silence, no texts, no reactions, no accidental views of their stories, no explanations or justifications, you're not just creating distance, you're delivering the most devastating message. They no longer exist in your world. And for a narcissist, that hurts more than any confrontation ever could, because even if you argued, yelled, or cried, you were still emotionally engaged. But with complete silence, they're left with nothing to hold on to. Silence becomes the ultimate symbol of lost power. No battlefield left to manipulate. No emotional supply to feed off. No mirror left to reflect their distorted ego. And in that stillness, your silence becomes a shattered mirror, revealing their emptiness, their lack of identity, and their inability to control what they can't reach. And here's the part they fear most. They begin to feel invisible. They once lived off attention. They survived by harvesting your emotional reactions. They believed they could always bait you back. But this time, you're not coming back. You're not checking in. You're not crying. You're not raging. You have simply vanished. And that shatters them silently. Many narcissists will try one last desperate move, experience drama to draw your attention, posting vague emotional updates to lure you in, even playing the victim to trigger your empathy. But when you don't take the bait, when you refuse to enter the game, they begin to panic, truly. Not because they love you, but because your silence has collapsed the illusion of control they clung to for so long. This is the narcissist's worst nightmare, no longer existing in your mind, no longer being the emotional center of your universe, no longer being anything. Your silence isn't weakness, it's the pinnacle of power. No need to explain, no need to defend, just walk away in the kind of peace they'll never understand. And that they simply cannot tolerate. No one sees them collapse. No one cares about their cries for attention. No one rushes to soothe the fake wounds they perform for pity. All that remains is a brutal truth. You're truly free, and there's no going back. Maybe at some point you hope the narcissist would finally realize their mistakes, that if you stayed quiet long enough, strong enough, patient enough, they might change. But the truth is, they won't. The only thing that changed is this. You stopped playing the game. You no longer fall for their subtle traps. You no longer react to their false accusation. You no longer send one last message to explain. You no longer need anyone to see you as right. You chose something they will never understand: peace. When you hold your boundaries, stay silent, and refuse to engage, you're not just sending a message to the narcissist. You're redefining your own worth, no longer defined by someone else's perception, no longer seeking validation from people incapable of love. You're living, truly living, without needing an audience or a stage. And that, right there, is your greatest victory. Not revenge, not proving them wrong, but walking away with clarity, strength, and no bitterness. Don't let anyone pull you back into that battlefield. Don't let late apologies shake your foundation. And most importantly, don't let someone who once punished you with silence come alive again through your response. You've broken free and they know it. You've won, not because they lost, but because you stopped playing. If you're on this journey too, drop a comment below. Share your story or simply say, "I chose peace." And if this message spoke to your soul, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, because there's still so much you deserve to hear. Not to hurt more, but to heal for real.